All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down a pre-match preview from one of the biggest fan pundits out there, Mark Goldbridge. He's looking ahead to Manchester United's big Boxing Day match against Newcastle, and we're going to get into his tactics, his stats, and yeah, his big frustrations with the club's strategy.
And right off the bat, you get that classic Goldbridge tone. It's totally fan-first, super informal. This isn't some stiff corporate breakdown. It's raw, it's from the gut, from someone who really lives this stuff. It kind of perfectly sets the stage for the emotional ride we're about to go on.
Okay, so first up, we've got a real tactical puzzle. A key player is coming back from injury, and the big question for the manager is, well, where on earth do you play him?
And that player is Lisandro Martinez. He's a fan favorite, a World Cup winner, but just slotting him back into the team, it's not as simple as it sounds. Goldbridge, though, he thinks he sees a clear, logical, and maybe even necessary solution. So what's really interesting is how he figures this out. It's just a simple process of elimination. He's like, look, you can't drop Luke Shaw at left back. He's been great. You're not going to drop Varane in the middle. And Martinez, he can't really play on the right. So what does that leave? The only spot left for him to make a real impact is to push him up into the midfield. And this is what really sells the whole idea for him. He points right back to Martinez's recent 45-minute run-out in that exact position. He called it steady, disciplined, and composed. Now, in a midfield that he feels has been missing exactly those things all season long, this isn't just a cool idea. For him, it's an absolutely essential move.
All right, so after looking at United's own lineup, Goldbridge pivots to the opposition, to Newcastle, and he's found a very, very specific vulnerability, and he's got the data to back it up.
Now, at first glance, this doesn't look amazing for either team, does it? United's home form is kind of mediocre, ranked 13th. But then you look at Newcastle's away form, and it's even worse, all the way down in 15th. So neither team is exactly a powerhouse in this situation, which means the game is right there for the taking.
And when you dig into the hard numbers, you see just how much Newcastle struggle on the road. I mean, look at this. In 8 away games, they've only won once, a single win. They just don't seem to travel well, and that is a huge piece of this pre-match puzzle.
In this chart, man, it really drives the point home about their struggles up front. Newcastle have scored just 7 goals away from home all season. To put that in perspective, that's the second worst in the whole Premier League. Only Wolves have scored fewer. This just screams weakness that United should be looking to exploit at home.
Okay, so let's pull back from just this one game for a second and look at the bigger picture. Because this whole analysis, it's really shaped by where Manchester United are sitting in the league table right now.
7th. Just 7th place. This one number is where all the stress is coming from. It's not a complete disaster, but it puts them in a really vulnerable spot. A single bad result could have huge consequences in the standings. And this quote is the absolute key to understanding Goldbridge's whole mindset here. He's saying that while a lot of fans are looking up the table, feeling optimistic about being just a few points off the top 4, he's looking down. He sees how easily United could slip even further. The danger of falling is just as real as the hope of climbing. But check this out, because here's a really important piece of context. Despite all the negative vibes, the numbers actually show a bit of an improvement. After 17 games this season, United have 4 more points and are 6 places higher than they were at this exact same point last year. So the key takeaway is, while the mood feels low, the data suggests there has been some progress, even if it's small.
And this brings us to the real heart of the issue, the core conflict of his whole analysis. Some recent comments from the manager, Ruben Amorim, about the January transfer window have set off a massive red flag for Goldbridge and a lot of the fan base.
So here it is, the official line straight from the manager's mouth. It's a message of caution, right? Risk aversion. Don't just sign guys for the sake of it, trust the squad you've got. On the surface, it sounds pretty sensible, pretty responsible. Goldbridge's reaction, though, let's just say he doesn't hold back. He completely rejects that way of thinking. He calls it complete and utter shit, and gives it that very specific name that fans use, glazonomics.
So what exactly is glazonomics? Well, it's a word that really captures years and years of fan frustration. It describes this belief that the club's owners always prioritize financial safety over taking the kind of calculated risks you need to take to win trophies. For fans, it's basically become a code word for a lack of ambition. So his argument against this whole play it safe idea breaks down to a few key points. First, he says United's entire history is built on taking risks, not avoiding them. He also points out what he sees as hypocrisy, noting that the team's current striker, Sesko, was himself a fifth-choice risk. He argues January is a legitimate chance to improve, not just some panic window. And ultimately, he thinks the manager is just saying what the board wants him to say.
So this all leads us to the final verdict, right? It's this perfect storm of tactical needs, their shaky league position, and this deep, deep frustration over how the club handles transfers.
And this is brilliant. Goldbridge completely flips the manager's point about learning from past mistakes right on its head. He argues that, yeah, the club has made bad signings, for sure, but their biggest mistake, historically, has been doing nothing, failing to strengthen the squad in January and just hoping for the best.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. The ultimate fear, from the fans' perspective, is that history is just going to repeat itself. That these cautious words from the manager mean we're heading for another quiet January, another missed opportunity, and that it'll lead to the same old collapse at the end of the season.
And so that leaves us with the central question of this whole debate. When a club says it's learning from the past, what does that really mean? Is it about playing it safe to avoid another expensive mistake? Or is it about finally realizing that sometimes the biggest risk of all is doing nothing?